One of the reasons why we were considering getting solar power and battery backup really started back in 2018 and 2019 when we had a series of power outages in the area. And my wife and I, Lisa and I, were concerned about battery backup or some type of power backup for the house in case we lost power for a sustained period of time. But in 2020, during COVID, we also had a power outage, and that gave us some concerns about just keeping our food safe in a time when it was actually hard to get food. And so that really started us down the path of looking seriously at getting the solar power and the battery backup. And we started to really start to dig into that and start to look at options in the fall of 2020, really right after COVID started. The reason why we chose New York State Solar Farm was we had looked at a number of different options, vendors, technologies, including gas generators and battery backup. But when we met New York State Solar Farm staff, we met Tate. He came over to the house. He was very personable and really understood the business about solar and battery backup. And right from the very beginning, the New York State Solar Farm team was just very supportive. They answered all the questions we had. They were very reassuring. And they gave us the confidence that we could build something with them and that in the end we'd have a product that would provide us the service that we needed for now and years to come. When we talked to New York State Solar Farm and we reviewed the SunPower product, that product seemed to come to the very top of the list for a variety of reasons. Number one, we really liked the fact that it had a very long warranty and was an established player in the field. My wife liked that they were all black and that they looked nice on the roof itself, and we saw some examples where she liked the way that appeared. And they're very efficient. And we thought the efficiency was something that would help in terms of cost recovery and in terms of paying for the panels. And since we've had them installed, that has all worked out pretty well. They are efficient. We're generating a lot of power from them. My wife and I like the way they look on the roof. And so all of that has turned out to be pretty much what we had hoped it would be. I mean, one factor that we also thought about was the effects that we could have on the amount of CO2 that we produce and how we might make a difference. I've been driving a Chevy Volt since 2016, so the car is now about 6 years old. And one thought entered my mind that we could have an impact not on just reducing the amount of CO2 emissions that our house produces, but also we could use the solar power to offset our car emissions as well. And so since actually during COVID we wound up buying another car, so now we have two plug-in hybrid electric cars, Chevy Volt and a Ford C-Max Energy, and we're using those cars and we are charging those cars off the roof. So we not only get energy now to power the house, but we also get energy to run our cars. We don't drive very long distances, but the mileage that we do drive is largely electric and largely solar powered driven. So the effect of having solar panels on the roof is not only reducing our emissions for the house, but also for commuting and for driving. And for that, we think that's turned out to be really, really positive. And frankly, I think it's practical, it's affordable, and we're pretty excited that we're making a difference. The process for getting the solar panels installed and the batteries installed is a multi-month process. We worked closely with New York State Solar Farm to define what we wanted to put in, and they worked with our building department in Eastchester, our town of Eastchester, and there was a bit of a back and forth between the New York State Solar Farm company, the building department, and us as we figured out exactly what we wanted. And so I think that was a good process. It actually, I think, helped us to have a better overall product in the end, one that kind of balanced cost with the amount of power output that we have, and also making sure that it was safe for us and for the family. And the process, I would say, during COVID and with some of the supply issues was also somewhat challenged. But throughout the whole process, New York State Solar Farm was there for us. They answered our questions, and they provided us with the assurance that we'd have the system installed the way we wanted it to be installed. Well, the financial aspects of going solar have been pretty interesting. Clearly, there's an outlay that you have to make when you buy the solar, and we chose to buy the system and install the system ourselves. And I like to look at the numbers. I like to see, how we're doing. And the early estimates that we received would basically provide us with some sense of how long it would take for the system to be paid back. The two pleasant surprises that we have around the financial benefits are, one, we're getting more power out of these panels than we expected. Now, New York State Solar Farm staff told us that it might be possible that they gave us conservative estimates and that we would get more power. But in fact, that turned out to be true, and for that, we're really thankful. But the second benefit is the cost of gasoline. Since we've had these panels installed, gasoline prices, as we all know, has really driven over $5 per gallon. But we're pretty much charging our cars with solar power, and we're not seeing those costs. So our cost savings are both in terms of our household consumption, but now also gasoline prices being what they are, we're saving additional money there. And we're very pleased with the way this looks from a financial perspective. You have to look long term about it. It does take multiple years for the payback to occur, but we're very pleased that in the first year we're already seeing a substantial gain and return. Well, we had a choice between going with just solar or solar and battery backup. And the reason why we went with battery backup really had to do with the level of reliability that we were seeing in our neighborhood with our utility power. We had a number of power outages, including wind storms that knocked out telephone lines and took down some of the nearby wires. And so that combination of having less reliable power and the promise of having reduced cost led us to consider battery backup. The one thing that I thought was very interesting about the battery backup is that the battery backup is battery backup for a power outage, but it also provides support for reducing our costs. And that differentiated it from, let's say, gas generator, where the gas generator would provide just battery backup power in case of an outage, but the batteries have that additional benefit of reducing costs. So right now, the house is being run either from solar or from batteries, and it really reduces our consumption from the grid down to zero. And we think that's really a big benefit as well. The other nice thing about the batteries is that in a power outage, we'll definitely have battery backup, but we can also have the potential of a power outage. And the system that we have will automatically detect if a storm is coming, and it will then charge the batteries to full potential, even though we're not touching it. It's completely, hands off. Those batteries will then charge up in the case that we have a power outage. That actually has already happened once. We actually already have had a power outage, and the house just kept working without even us noticing it. I mean, I noticed it because my phone told me the power went out. But for that short duration of time when we had no power, we just kept doing what we're doing in the house. The refrigerators kept working, the air conditioners kept working, kids were using their computers, and it worked seamlessly. So I think that battery backup and the gateway system that we have installed all turned out to be really, really useful. So I've enjoyed using the apps that come with the solar panels from SunPower and the gateway and batteries from Tesla. I'm a technical person, so I like looking at these things. Perhaps I'm looking at them too much because my family tells me to stop looking at them as much as I do. The ability to look at the amount of power that the house is consuming is really a differentiator. So when you look at the Tesla application, not only are we seeing what the solar panels are generating or what level of charge the batteries are, but we can see how much power the house is consuming at any given moment in time. And that fine-tuning allows us to save money. We can choose when we want to use appliances. For example, today with the sun out, I can put the dishwasher on, or I might put the washing machine on. And I can do that when the sun is shining so that we're not taking any power from the grid and paying any money for that power. Likewise, I can decide when I'm going to charge my cars. So having control over the way in which you use power and being able to see that within the app is really a differentiator for us in minimizing how much electric power we consume from the utility and really maximizing the savings. I was very pleased with the installation of the solar panels and the batteries and the work and the quality and workmanship of New York State Solar Farm. The installation of the solar panels was all done in one day. I was actually home working from home, and it barely interrupted me at all. And they did a really good job. It was a very first-rate installation. The electrical work and the quality of the workmanship for the battery installation and the gateway installation, the Tesla batteries and the Tesla gateway, was first-rate. And they did a fabulous job, including very minimal interruption to cutting power in the house when they had to switch over. And when they came back a second time to finally complete the installation, they finished it and I didn't even know they had been working on it. It was pretty much they were working on it and they never even interrupted the power for the house. The end result is, I think, a system that I'm very pleased with the installation. It fits in with you know, our garage. We can pull in our car. Everything fits just fine. And we're certainly pleased with the workmanship of what we see on the roof. So I really think that our installation can serve as an example for others in our community. We're a typical family. We have dishwasher, washer, dryer, refrigeration. We also like our air conditioning on hot summer days like today. And the solar panels and the batteries provide support for all of those electric appliances. It fits right into our lifestyle. If you don't think about it, you don't even have to even notice that they're there. It just works. But if you do want to look at it and want to pay attention to it, you can look at the app and see what's going on with your power consumption and with the solar production. And I think that many people in our community could benefit from using an installation like this. So if I was asked to give advice to someone who had never installed solar and was considering it for their home for the first time, I would recommend to look at possible vendors who might be in the area, who might provide you with some consulting, might be able to educate you a bit about some of the possibilities. New York State Solar Farm for us was that vendor. They were both helpful in assessing what we might install, but also they were educational, provided some good consulting. I think that some folks are concerned about, you know, will it provide the money savings that we think it can provide? Will it reduce carbon dioxide emissions? And will we get some of the benefits of things like off-site power in case of off-grid power, really, in case of a power outage using the batteries? And the answer for us is yes, it's doing all of that for us. So I would say to, you know, explore the possibilities and work with a local provider to see what might be possible. Well, I think the fun part about sitting out here in the sun today is I feel like a solar farmer. You know, the sun is shining. We're sitting right here enjoying the beautiful day, and those solar panels are generating power for us. And there's something very gratifying about knowing that the sun is coming down and it's basically powering our home, powering our appliances, charging our cars, and helping to improve the environment. So for that, I think it's been really terrific. I'll tell you what surprised me was and I could even answer it, but they estimated a certain amount of power on the roof, and they're exceeding it. These panels are exceeding it by 20 to 30%, and I didn't expect it. I'm expecting so much power per month, and I'm watching it and all that, and we're breaking those. And right now, like I feel like a solar farmer. You know, that's really. So maybe I'll throw that in somewhere if we can. So we'll see what happens.